The following is a Cheeky Leprechaun production.
Pop culture is the entirety of ideas.
Me, Mario.
Let the bass kick.
I am the greatest.
Holy eggshell!
I am your father.
It's a pop culture experience. What episode are we? Episode 32? Yeah, 32. Put my headphones on. What's happening out in your world? Not a whole heap here. Where I am, actually, some of the state is going back into lockdown. In Victoria, Australia. So that's a bit of fun. But, you know, there's places worse off. Sorry if you're one of them. Look, what have we got on the show? We've got Steph on the show making her debut this week. One of my friends, Steph, who she sort of, I was out with her the other night and she sort of bailed me up and said, look, I'm not sure why I haven't been invited onto the show because I've got plenty to say and plenty to bring to the table. I said, well, what have you got to talk about? And one of the things she led with, I said, look, I hate that stuff so much. I hate it. But I understand that there is a calling for it. There is an interest in it. So fine, come on and we can work through this together. You can explain your side, I'll explain my side, and we'll just see what happens from there. But Steph also had a few other things she wanted to talk about, including The Simpsons. Like, should The Simpsons be cancelled at this point? Is it done? Are we past The Simpsons? Especially when you're looking at things like, and we discussed this, you know, some of the voice actors, white actors playing black characters. You know, that sort of stuff is springing up as an issue in the world of animation. So, you know, with all of this sort of negativity consistently finding its way to the shows like The Simpsons, is it time to just call it and go out on still a relative high note after 30-odd seasons? You know, call it while you can, guys. Call it while you can. So we discussed that and a range of other things. The conversation really just, as we like to do here, spewed off in all these different directions. So that's good. You got that coming up. But, look, I'm not going to take too much time here because we'll jump straight into that conversation. But anyway, I hope all's going well in your world. Look, movie theatres are starting to reopen up in a couple of different places. We're starting to have them open up in Victoria, some, given the moderate lockdown we're in. I don't know where I sit. I don't see myself ready to go back to them yet. I don't see it. I would like to go back to a movie, watch a movie, but I don't want the stress of, one, are we going to have to wear a mask? Because I can't nearly enjoy a movie while wearing a mask and sort of pulling it down each time you want to put a bit of popcorn in, that sort of thing doesn't sit right with me. And two, just, you go to the movies to escape. I'm not escaping anything when there's, you know, me and 8 other people in a cinema of 150 seats or, you know, whatever they end up having, showing old content that I could have otherwise seen at home. You know, I don't know if that's going to be enough to get me out. But it did make me wonder, well, what are the movies that they're talking about showing to reopen these cinemas with that might get me out of the house? And there are a couple. There's been, you know, 1 or 2 that have spiked my interest. Like, they're bringing back out the Nolan Batman trilogy. Or at least, you know, I think it's the whole trilogy. And I'm like, yeah, they're good on the big screen. Yeah. Would love to see that on the big screen again. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that could get me back in. Maybe. But also, you know, the drive-ins. Look at the drive-ins. What a resurgence for the drive-ins. Aren't they killing it? I heard that they're the ones now dictating the percentage of box office between the drive-ins themselves and the actual film distributors. They're like, you know what, we're in an era now of 60-40 our way. No longer is it going to be the other. You know, we're in control now. Without us, you can't bring your movie out. So, and they're dominating, you know, selling out movie drive-in cinemas. I mean, when was the last time that happened? Friggin', you know, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt here, maybe the 90s, but I would dare say the 80s, 70s. It's been a long time. But yeah, I don't know. If you're able to get to a movie cinema, let me know if you do. And maybe what the movie was that was good enough to bring you out of your little lockdown period, your little self-quarantine, and get you into a movie theatre again. Because if you haven't seen it, Tenet's been pushed back once again. That was the big hope. Anyway, it's my little rant about movie cinemas. Should they be opening? Should they not? I don't know, to be honest. I don't know if I'm going to be back yet. That aside, let's go to my chat now with Steph, talking all things her big interest in reality TV, as well as a few other things. Enjoy. Hello, Stephanie. How are you? You can't giggle this early. Pull that real nice and in front of your mouth. There you go. First podcast, isn't it?
No, first podcast.
Don't be too nervous. It's all right. It's all right. I mean, you bailed me up about this. You said, I have got serious stuff to talk about. Get me on.
Yeah, I did. I did do that.
You were drunk, though,
I was
at the
drunk.
time. Yeah, so let's be honest. But I held you to it.
Scared. You did hold me to it.
And so here we are. But you know what? My biggest issue was I said to you, what do you want to talk about? Like, it's pop culture. What do you want to bring to the table? The first thing out of your mouth was, "Wow, I love reality TV," and I was like, "Oh my god, I hate it."
Yeah, but why do you hate it?
Because it's bad TV.
But it's supposed to be bad TV. That's exactly what it's designed for. Like, you're not supposed to sit there and go, "Oh my god, the cinematic value of this, Bachelorette contestant is incredible."
But why shouldn't we aim higher? Why can't
What do you
we?
mean,
Why
aim
can't we
higher?
aim for more? Let's have better content. Why must we settle for this crap?
Well, then why are the ratings so good?
I don't. Honestly, I know I'm in the minority. I friggin' host this pop culture podcast. I know that I should be into it. And granted, I've watched. I'll tune into. Hey, come watch this scene in Married at First Sight, and I'll be like, why? And then I'll watch. I'll be like, oh, it's kind of intriguing.
It is entertaining. Like it's cheap entertainment, and to be honest, it says like it's reality, but it's not real. It actually isn't. Like,
No.
It is very scripted and very forced, I suppose. But that's what makes it so good.
And that's one of the things I hate most about it, which admittedly is a little bit hypocritical because I'll say, oh, but it's all set up anyway. And then somebody will say to me, so is a TV show, so is a
Yeah,
movie.
exactly.
Who cares?
So
It's
who
just a form of
cares?
entertainment. I'm like, okay, that's kind of fair.
Yeah.
But
But
it
what
doesn't
reality TV shows have you watched though? Like, have you watched any in full or any full episodes of anything? Anything you know what's going on?
I watched the Sam Frost season of The Bachelorette.
Right. Very good season.
That was
Sam
big
Frost,
when that
Australia's
happened.
sweetheart. Love it.
Really?
Nah.
See, then she went on to get a radio show with Rove, and I
Sam
was
Frost,
like,
she's vanilla.
Yeah.
She's vanilla.
I don't know. I was into her. I thought she was pretty cute. I was
Yeah,
like,
she was
yeah,
cute.
okay,
She was cute.
this
She was
is
cute. Did you watch Georgia Love's season? Because I think she looks like Georgia.
my Georgia.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
So
I don't
nice.
do that.
Georgia-
I also didn't watch it, but because after the first Bachelorette season, I remember being annoyed with how it ended, because it ended with this thing where it became very apparent, one, that they weren't going to be together forever, and that annoyed me when
No.
the show ends and you get like a month later.
Well, some
Their
of them
relationships
proposed.
actually ended. Yes, and they did in
And you
Sam
know
Frost
what?
season.
Get stuffed.
I don't buy it.
None of that.
But also,
But-
look at Married at First Sight. That's half the idea,
So I
isn't it?
don't watch Married at First Sight because that's
Oh, that's where you draw the
that's
line.
where I draw the line. Yeah, I don't know. Like my parents watch it, but did you ever watch Big Brother in the early seasons?
Loved Big Brother back in the day.
Okay. See, that is the old Big Brother, and I'm talking back in early when I was like a child.
Yeah.
Like, so
Gretel
2001
Colleen days.
Yes,
Yeah.
Gretel.
Gretel, yes. Gretel Colleen, yeah.
Like Fitzy and all that. Chrissy Swan. That was like the last organic, real reality TV we ever saw, I reckon.
Well, that
was just straight up live stream.
Yes.
We saw them. We learned about the housemates' life. Like, there was nothing added or fabricated. Like and that's why it works so well, and that's why people got so invested, because we followed these genuine, real people, and they didn't already have a media background because media wasn't around then, or like social media.
Yeah, and that's what I think I liked about it. Compared to this new revamped Big Brother, which have you watched?
Oh, I can tell you everything about every Big Brother season ever. I'm watching this season.
Okay, because what I've noticed is the difference being when I used to watch Big Brother, there was that sort of excitement of, dinner time.
Dinner time.
Turn the
gossip
TV
time.
on. Yeah, all right, what are they up to now? What's
Yeah.
happened today in the house?
Yeah, exactly.
And it was everyday life. There's something about
Well-
watching people in everyday life that is entertaining. Now, this new season, it seems like they've tried to roll together all the different reality shows into one.
And it is literally. Did you watch Survivor? It is just Survivor in a warehouse.
That's given they've brought in like contests and competitions
Yeah.
and challenges. I'm like, it feels like Survivor.
It is literally just Survivor, and it's actually funny. It has the same producers as the Survivor Australia seasons, which is really fun, interesting. But the old Big Brother didn't have, they didn't cut to different scenes, and they didn't have music in the background, and it was literally, you would watch people talk about their goldfish, like that's all it was,
Yep.
and to stimulate situations, they would never do anything directly, they would just give them less food to make them crankier, or they would just pair two people up in a challenge that didn't like each other. They would never actually, edit anything or have to edit anything to get reactions or to look like they had reactions from the housemates. But this season, clearly, it's just too full on to have any sort of, I suppose, like organic content from them. Like, it just seems like they've, I saw this thread on Twitter, and it was all the continuity errors of the editing. And like, you would never get that with old reality TV shows back in the early 2000s.
And it's just, it's kind of like these people making the shows have come to learn the power they have. Whereas like back in the day, because I think Big Brother started in the UK, maybe. I think
it was a UK or I don't know if it was American, but it wasn't Australian. We
feel like it was
got
UK.
it from somewhere. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And so then, like, it was very stripped back, and especially a lot of shit that comes out of the UK, very stripped back and bare bones. So then that format was just copied across. But now with everything going on, and not to mention the competition in reality TV, like, there's a lot of reality TV out there, whether it's cooking shows, competition shows, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot to compete with. So
Absolutely.
what do you do?
You have to
Roll a
make
bunch
it.
of them together.
Yeah.
Take the best bits.
Well, the Big Brother launch night and the following night had the most ratings out of all the reality TV. In the trifecta is what I like to call it. The Voice, MasterChef, and Big Brother are all competing at the moment. MasterChef's in the lead.
Yeah, so
The
they're
Voice is
on-
shit. If anyone watches, sorry, am I allowed to swear on this?
Oh, yeah, you can spell that's fine. Yeah, The Voice...
The Voice is terrible.
The Voice is another example, though, of something that over seasons they've found ways to continue to tinker with the formula to a point where it's so
Well, like the whole point of The Voice,
manufactured.
Initially, they advertised it as, we're sick of like choosing people from their appearance or appearance, affecting how we think about you. So we're going to swivel the chairs around and we're just going to listen to your voice. Then the following rounds are all about like presenting yourself.
Yeah.
Right, so it completely to me the format is actually silly.
You know what? It annoys me even before that with The Voice
Yeah.
and even with Australian Idol, American Idol, all those singing shows. You can tell when someone's going to get a yes.
Oh.
Just from if they get the video package beforehand
Oh
of their
my
story.
God. If you didn't
Stop
have
it with
a
the
sob
story.
you are not going through.
If you've got
No
a sob
way.
story, you are guaranteed entry.
Guaranteed entry. And
And
that's funny you say that. I had my dad's work partner had a nephew or something that went on The Voice, didn't have anything sad, and they turned to him and said, "You've got an excellent voice, but
We need a story.
we need a story." And they asked him, "Is there anything you can?" And he was like, "No, I've had a very good childhood, very good life, like pretty much nothing." And he's like, "I'm not going to make anything up."
No, and that's what the weird part is, isn't it concerning that it's one thing that they will pick somebody if they've got a good story and they'll put them through, but it's another where they will still go, "Oh, you do have a good voice, so can we spin something?
Can we spin something?"
And
yeah.
suddenly you're just being
And it's
fed
just-
these
and
lies.
then it's just unreal. And then, it's just not real anymore.
It's not reality anymore, and that's the whole freaking concept.
Yeah. One reality show I really think has done well this year is MasterChef, though. Like, the new judges have been immaculate. I know you don't watch it, which you should. It's very good.
But
Reynolds.
I will say, MasterChef is one of the few that I have respect for.
Oh, it's a good show. And you know what? It wasn't a good show towards the later seasons before the revamp and the new judges. With, Gary George, like, they were ridiculous. Like, they were just silly. But this season, it's all-stars as well, so it's returning contestants. So we already love everyone that's on, like, it's all-star seasons always work, in my opinion, because you know everyone, you've already got your favourites, and you've already got your villains, I suppose. Not that MasterChef really has villains, I mean, it's about cooking, but you know what I mean. But you got
I know what you mean.
Laura, no one likes
Well, you've
Laura,
got to have
so-
you've got to have conflict.
Yeah,
so
you've gotta
you
have
have
conflict,
to, or else what are you watching for?
Yeah,
Whether
no,
it's
exactly.
conflict between the judges or whatever.
Yeah, if there's some sort of, like, they've got to dramatise anything, like, yeah.
Have you ever seen the TV show Unreal?
Yes, I watched the whole season.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
I watched a fair few episodes of it, and that was a really interesting. I think it was HBO
It's
that
funny,
made it.
When I went on Kentucky last year, Sophie Timon was on our Kentucky, and she was in the Honey Badger season of The Bachelor.
Oh, okay, yeah,
which was
yeah.
really interesting. She didn't really want to talk to me and Jess, but we did get out of her that the show Unreal was quite accurate as to behind the scenes, because she had watched the show because her friends had told her to watch the show after being on The Bachelor. or Bachelorette.
Yeah.
Bachelor. And she said, yeah, it's funny because that's quite accurate. Like,
Well, that's the whole idea, is that it's meant to be a fictionalized take on what actually the
Yeah.
interworkings of a reality TV
show.
show, and just how much the producers manipulate
Yeah.
these people. And you've heard, I think it was Married at First Sight, maybe, where they will turn somebody into a villain without
Yeah.
that person even really
Even
realizing.
realising.
And it's just from taking different camera angles
Yeah.
or like a reaction shot to something that was outrageous that makes them a bit annoyed, and then placing it after a kiss or something. They're like, that fucking, it gives off that look like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you. It's like, hang on, you just changed the narrative
yeah,
of the whole thing.
Yeah, of the whole thing. Yeah.
It's scary what these people sign up for
I find
unknowingly.
it so funny how they use reaction shots from different cast members to like, and the shot is just their face, so it could have been from anything, like literally any time, like,
Yeah.
and it looks like everyone's all of a sudden upset, blah blah blah. And as soon as you know that, like as a kid, reality TV shows were like so. Like, I thought it was all real. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like, oh my God, look, they're so mad. Like, blah, 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 blah. But now, as an adult, I know that it's really only for entertainment. Like, it's not real. Like, it's just, I'll still watch it. I'll still enjoy it.
So what is your list of reality TV shows you will watch? So you've got
So at the
MasterChef,
moment,
I
I'm
assume you
watching
watch?
The Voice MasterChef and
So you are
Big
watching The
Brother.
Voice, even though
I
you
am
think
watching The
it's
Voice, but it's only it's bonding time with Dad, so we've got to watch it together. But I don't like it. I critique it. Me and Dad actually critique each episode, to be honest with you, and what we dislike and didn't like.
So the episode or the singers?
No, fuck this.
So, yeah, no, it's fine. You can swear. But so you
Singers
will just be
don't
like,
bother
oh,
me.
I didn't love how they did this.
I don't love Guy Sebastian. Just going to put it out there.
He seems to be a little bit
done.
controversial.
He is so controversial. Him and Kelly Rowland.
Yeah.
They don't like each other. Team Kelly, just quietly.
Okay, where do you sit on Delta Goodrum?
Oh my God, I can't stand Delta
Okay,
Goodrum.
I was going to say, if you're
She's
going to
a
be bagging
pain.
Guy Sebastian.
She's just the epitome of white, isn't she? She can't clap to the beat. I'm like, what is this? What are you doing? Not that
It's
I'm
just, it's
it's not great.
vanilla.
It's vanilla. It's vanilla. Hey,
yeah.
Boy George, he's alright.
I like Boy
I like
George.
Boy George.
I
Boy
think
George.
I think he brings something to the table.
Yeah, no, he does. He does.
But I tell you, there was those earlier seasons of The Voice. Seal, love Seal.
Yeah, I don't
Love
know
me
if I
some
watched
Seal.
Yeah, I didn't mind Seal.
Did you? Oh, so you would never have seen when Keith Urban was on it?
No, I did. No, I did watch it then. But still,
What about the Maddens? They were
yeah,
always
no, okay,
good.
no, I watched it. I definitely
Yeah,
watched it. Yeah, because I like the Maddens a
They've
lot.
had some good judges over the years.
They've had some good judges, but the show sucks.
Yeah, it's,
MasterChef is excellent. Like, I cannot fault MasterChef. Like, the judges this year, the contestants, like, it's all really good. Big Brother, I wish they brought back the old format because that's still my favourite reality TV show of all time. I can tell you every winner of every season and every bloody plot that happened. And
Yeah, you went back recently and rewatched them
yeah,
all.
I
I think,
rewatched
didn't
all
you?
of them. Yeah,
That's a lot of TV to watch.
2013 is so good if anyone wants to watch
Who
it.
was in that? Who came out of that?
So Tim won, and I had like the
Tim-
Tully and
Tim
Drew
the redhead?
scandal.
Redhead?
Oh, he was like, no, that was Michael from. I think
That was
of
Michael. Yeah,
I love Michael.
Yep. Okay.
He was the one with like big curly hair.
What's he gone on to do? Anything?
Not much. He's now an advocate for like LGBT. Like he's come out as like bisexual.
okay.
I'm pretty sure. But
Yeah.
it had Tully and Drew. Do you remember that scandal with Tully and Drew? Oh my God.
Was this
you
the-
don't know? This is like Australia's biggest thing.
Was
like,
this
that
the
year.
turkey slap?
No, that was 2006.
That was a pretty big
That
scandal.
was huge.
That
and
was
that was
huge.
when our Prime Minister at
Big
the
Brother
time,
Up Late was
yeah,
that?
yeah, and they had to can it because of that incident. And our Prime Minister at the time, I can't remember who it was, came out and said, 2006, I'm not sure who that would have been. I
Would
was
have
at
been
5.
John Howard,
John
or
Howard,
it might have
yeah.
been Kevin Rudd if it was later than if
Nah,
it was 07.
it wasn't Kevin Rudd.
So it was John
It
Howard.
was 06, yeah, it was John Howard. And he came out and was like, don't let your kids watch it. Because I'm not sure you remember, old Big Brother, there was a stigma around not letting your kids watch it. But I was allowed to watch it, but I had a lot of friends
That weren't allowed to.
that weren't allowed to. You know, when we spoke about it when it came back in 2012, they were like, oh, you know, I'm not watching it, my parents aren't letting me. Or like I had a very close
Big
family
Brother
friend.
Up
they would,
Late or Big
no,
Brother
Big
in
Brother
general?
in general. And because of the Up Late gave it the stigma that it was so
Yeah, scandalous.
scandalous
and,
and
a bit
like all this sex happened and blah blah blah, but really it really didn't. Like on the Daily Show, it literally just showed the housemates sort of just getting food and like it was the Up Late
Yeah.
and like the Big Brother like censored specials and all that did it.
Well, it's kind of like, I guess there's probably a mentality from parents' point of view where it's usually largely young people
Mm-hmm.
that are deliberately picked for being, whether they're, stuff ups or they're a bit, they're a jerk. Like you've usually got a bad person.
You've always got at least 5 good looking people.
Yep.
Usually 3 of them are girls, and then you got 2 good looking blokes, and they're like usually the alphas. And then you've got like the oddball, you've got the misfits, you know, I was listening to a podcast about a reality TV producer and they say they always cast teachers because teachers are always bossy. They always have a teacher cast.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. People are picked based on these things that, like, a teacher should be a good thing, but they pick a teacher because they're bossy.
Yeah.
So they take these things about a person's personality and then they twist it to suit their story. So
yeah, and then throughout the show, they'll deliberately show edits of people being like, yeah, we know so-and-so is bossy because she's a teacher, and that they'll give that stigma, and they'll try and, you know, that person might not necessarily be overly bossy, but they'll make it seem like they are, 'cause that's the purpose they were cast. And also they'll cause drama in the house, I suppose, or in whatever reality TV show they're in, because they probably are a little bit bossy. But, but anyone could be bossy. But yeah, no.
That's interesting that people weren't allowed to watch it though.
Yeah, well, I had friends, like I had a close family friend that even when it came back in 2012, when we were about 11 and 12, their parents said no, and that's because of I suppose the reputation it left when it finished in 2007 the first time.
Yeah.
Because it was...
Did it end in 2007 because of the turkey slap? Like, was there too much scandal around it?
Yeah, I reckon, because 2006 was the turkey slap, and then 2006 is known for being a pretty good season. So then I reckon 2007, that, you know, went on for one last year. There was petitions to get it axed in 2006. There was, you know, the Prime Minister called out, like, people were saying no. Obviously, they were already renewed for another season. They went ahead with it, and I think for that reason, people didn't really tune in. I did.
You did, yeah. How old would you have been back then?
Six for the 2007 season.
Wow.
That was our family show. Like, that's the thing with reality TV. I feel like families don't sit down and watch it anymore.
Yeah, you're right. I think there is something about reality TV that does feel... There's something about it that can relate for everybody.
Yeah, and it's dramatic, and you love sitting with your parents and go, oh my God, she did not just say that, blah, blah, blah. Like, that was the whole point.
Well, it's the only scheduled viewing, really, that is still out there. So
nothing's out there anymore.
with Netflix and all these streaming services, they're on demand. Whenever you want to watch it, you can. Reality TV,
it's right,
MasterChef, 7:30 on Monday or whatever it is, Monday, Wednesday, whatever. You know it's going to be on, and also it's a bit harder to catch up on if you miss it. So it's scheduled
I
viewing.
find with reality TV, as soon as I jump on Twitter, if I haven't watched it yet, spoilers within the first 4 tweets.
Yeah,
and I'm like, well,
you can usually what's the point?
But...
You'll still watch it?
I'll still watch it.
God, if you're still willing to go and watch that at that point, that says something. What I want to go on to though is you said before people not being allowed to watch Big Brother. Was there anything growing up you weren't allowed to watch?
No, my parents were bad. No.
Mine were the same. I was exposed to some real shit from a young age.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, but you know, my parents were even like, they could be watching an MA or an R film, and just me as a kid would just hope that I wasn't really paying attention, and I'd be in the lounge room playing with, you know, Polly Pocket or whatever.
Yeah, but really, you're absorbing all that shit.
But really, I'm still traumatized. No, but you know, like, but I know parents would remove their child from the room or don't come in here. Mummy and Daddy are watching a movie or whatever.
Yeah.
I never had that, and you know, especially once I got to like high school, nothing. They were like, yeah, we don't care. Like,
well, so you know, I know a lot of families, George's family included, actually. Growing up, the kids weren't allowed to even watch, say, The Simpsons.
I wasn't allowed to watch Family Guy, actually.
Well, that's very different to The Simpsons.
Very different. The Simpsons is bloody harmless.
The Simpsons, to me, seems so harmless. But I guess for its time, like when I was growing up, Jesus, like in the 90s, early 2000s, The Simpsons was at its peak, and Simpsons was seen as this scandalous show.
Well, they all say Simpsons... Oh, really?
A little bit. Like some of the topics they cover and like some of the... like character representations and stuff were a bit scandalous.
I don't think The Simpsons works anymore, to be honest with you.
Why?
I think it's a different show. Well, everyone says seasons 1 to 10 are the best, and they're absolutely right. I have trouble watching those seasons because the quality is so bad, but the jokes and the humour are definitely the best.
So did you watch Simpsons growing up? So what?
My family watched Simpsons quite religiously. That was like me and Dad and my brother. That was like our show to
6
watch.
o'clock weeknights?
Yeah, new episodes we watched. The TV planner was all Simpsons. You know, my brother was all my brother watched.
So
my brother and I watched.
What seasons would that have been? If you were growing up with it.
Well, we watched the early season just because they were on TV. That would have been, I reckon, season... Oh, what season is it on now?
30?
30? I reckon season 16 to 20 would have been the new episodes when we were really into... Oh, that seems a bit early, doesn't it?
But here's my thing with The Simpsons. I think a lot of it is subjective to when you were a kid. So, like, if you're growing up during 16 to 20 seasons... but you're made aware of those early seasons later. Like, I'm sure when you were watching those new episodes, you were like, these are so good. Like, I love it.
For sure.
But then
if
as you
grew
get
up
older...
with the earlier ones, you look at those episodes and go, no. Like, if I introduced a child to The Simpsons now, they would probably think nothing of it. And they would go, this is a great show. I don't think it's a great show anymore. I think it's completely different. I don't think it survives in today's climate at all. Well, what it used to be anyway. They can change the show, but I suppose people know what The Simpsons was.
But I haven't watched it in so long.
I have not... I want to watch a really new... I would like to watch the newest episode of The Simpsons and see what I think, because I know there's so many characters not in it anymore that we used to, like... not only because of, like, voice actors dying or passing away. I know, like, Edna Krabappel's character, she passed away, and so she wasn't in it as of, like, 2000 and something. But they don't, you know, for political purposes, I suppose. I don't think Apu is a character anymore.
I'm not sure what's happening with Apu.
Or maybe
I
his
think
voice is...
he may be recast.
He may be recast.
Because there was that whole
an
scandal.
Indian. There
like,
was. There was a
last
lot of
year.
backlash on TV shows, or like animation shows, using white voice actors to voice coloured people of colour.
Yeah.
And now that is considered, it should have always been considered racist, but now in today's climate it's considered very racist. And so I suppose The Simpsons were, I don't know if they were one of the first or maybe one of the last to make that change. I'm actually not sure.
Well, I think because it all started roughly last year with Apu, for some reason there was
It was his character that set it off.
Yeah, somebody did a study or like some sort of really well articulated essay around why it's wrong, how they've represented Apu in that. And I remember back then there was this whole, what are they going to do about Apu? Are they going to kill him off?
Yeah.
And they didn't. They ended up just saying, no, we're going to continue with it.
Yeah.
And because it's Hank Azaria that does the voice for Apu.
Right, yes.
And he does the voices for heaps. He does Chief Wiggum.
He does lots of them, yeah.
Have you ever seen Friends?
Like the show.
The show? Oh my God.
I could talk about Friends. I do not think Friends is a good show.
Okay. Well, moving on. He does, Chief Wiggum. He does Mo. He does... Superintendent Chalmers. He does a bunch of them.
Yeah.
But he also does Carl. So you know Lenny and Carl? Carl's black.
The black guy, yeah.
Yeah. And so he's now come out, Hank Azaria has come out and he said, I'm no longer going to do the voice of Apu.
Yeah.
But
What
I don't know if
about
he's said
Carl?
anything about Carl.
I've actually not read anything about that. That's interesting.
And his whole thing was, so while last year that wasn't enough to make them not to kill off Apu or something.
I'm actually so shocked that they just haven't canned the show altogether. Like, I feel like they're just grasping and, like, they're just doesn't work anymore. Like, I don't know. Like,
So where do
it's
you
a whole
land?
different show.
Where do you
Well,
land
not
on
really.
Family Guy then?
Do
'Cause
they
they're
still make Family Guy?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're facing a lot of the same issues.
Family Guy, some of their earlier episodes, no way that could be. It's only okay because it was made so long ago. Like, if they made those
Couldn't
jokes
do that.
now,
Well, they
no
still
way.
make those jokes.
Even shows like, I know you. Oh, really?
Yeah, that show hasn't changed at all.
Oh, Family Guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Peter Griffin, what are you doing?
But there's something about... Here's where I sit on it. Okay, so... Because it's hard to know where the line is. Look at The Office. We both love The Office.
It would not. It would be a completely different show if it was made in today's.
I would argue a lot of the shit they said would have been pushing it back then.
When I rewatch it, I'm just like, oh, Jesus. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I've been watching it at the moment. I'm like, how did they get away with this?
Yeah.
What in those shows, same with The Simpsons, same with Family Guy, what is it that to them maybe thinks it allows them to do it? Like, what's the formula, do you think, that makes you go, that's
because
why
they've done it for so long. That's why.
Well, 100%. Those animated ones have done it for so long.
They, no one wants to switch, change something that's working.
Exactly.
I suppose, fix something that's not broken. But the reality is it is broken now.
Yeah.
They need to fix it.
But there's also the fact that the way they position all these jokes, the joke is on Michael Scott for being uneducated, for being inappropriate.
See,
he's the idiot.
Yeah.
What your racial joke you just made, that's so wrong. Look how unaware and how stupid you are of how we're laughing at you, not with you.
Yeah.
Same with Homer. Same with Peter Griffin.
Yeah,
That
it's
sort
like
of
it's like taking the mickey out of what they're saying is so wrong. We all know that's so wrong. It's not making the joke itself. Like, it's.
South Park have been doing it for years.
I never watched. I wasn't allowed to watch South Park. South Park. There you go.
There's one. There you go. You weren't allowed.
I
But
wasn't
South
allowed
Park was the original Family Guy almost in terms of there was swearing. There was like crude,
We
rude
went on
humour.
a family holiday to Fiji in 2015. It was the first time me and my brother were allowed to watch South Park, which is on the, you know, I mean, you go to hotels
Yeah.
and just whatever's on, you just got to watch it.
Sort of where you get that leeway of, oh, we can actually watch this without
Yeah.
them actually knowing. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, we got Foxtel in our room. Oh, great.
Well-
Don't watch anything inappropriate.
Yeah, we were watching it, and me and my brother were absolutely pissing ourselves. Like, we thought it was the funniest thing ever.
It's hilarious.
And we were like, Mum and Dad, you've
deprived us for
of this
years."
humour for years.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, but listen to what they're saying. Like,
Yeah.
you as a 10-year-old would not have been able to understand that.
I still remember the Steve Irwin joke, which really did not fly after Steve Irwin had died.
Did it? No.
No,
I
and
remember seeing it.
that was one of those real moments where they've had a couple. Michael
The
Jackson
Michael
as
Jackson
well.
one, yeah.
That was a real famous one.
Yep, yep.
But that's where those shows are different to The Simpsons. Going back to your point, The Simpsons is not a shock humour show.
No way. It was initially designed for kids, that show.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
and
meant to be
families.
a
It's
family show. Whereas Family Guy and South Park, they're shock humour.
Yeah, they give you the MA15 plus warning before you watch it.
Yeah.
Like, they know. Like,
So, yeah, Simpsons being relevant still, I would have to go and watch episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fact that it doesn't have the same cultural relevance as what it used
no,
to
The
have.
Simpsons was huge.
Simpsons
and
was
remember when the
massive.
Simpsons movie came out? That was the biggest thing to happen ever. Like, everyone was so rapt there was a Simpsons movie, and it was, you know, like, everyone wanted to go to Universal Studios and eat at the Quickie Mart and
Yeah.
everything. You know, like, it was such a big show. It's funny, my two cousins who are now 11 and 12, I said, oh, I think it was my uncle that made a joke about The Simpsons. He referenced Simpsons. And the one that was 11 said, what's The Simpsons? And I was like,
Wow, that's where we're
my
at.
God.
That was the moment you went, it's not relevant
And
anymore.
then it was when I had to be like, oh, it's the, you know, the yellow people, and blah, blah. And he was like, oh, yeah, you know, I've seen that. He's like, Homer. I'm like, yeah, Homer, exactly. And then it was just like, but, you know, that was my family show at their age. That was what I was watching with my brother every night, every morning. Like, you know, like, so that was really weird.
The moment it changed for The Simpsons was when it no longer became that water cooler chat. So
Yeah,
in terms
yep.
of something you would go and talk to people about, what, like, Simpsons is still massive in pop culture because
Yeah.
it's The Simpsons.
It's The Simpsons.
Everyone
and it
knows
always
it.
will be. Everyone will always
And
know
it transcends TV. It's across everything. Even with Disney Plus launching, and they've got all The Simpsons. People are going
All the
back and
Simpsons,
watching
yeah,
The
that
Simpsons.
was a good grab for Disney.
But it's going back and watching those old Simpsons that people are loving so much. As soon as a show is no longer spoken about just, you know, around the office or at the dinner table or something, that's when it
when it
loses.
goes.
That's when you should really can it and
You
go,
know,
you know
when people
what,
go,
we had a good
"Let's-"
run.
Yeah. And, you know, when people stop, you know, recording the new episode or,
Yeah.
you know, looking forward to the new episode, like, that's when people, you know, it's on, I'll watch it. Like, that's when a show loses its, like...
I think it's more in a world of diehard fandom now than
Yeah.
it is mainstream.
Oh, for sure.
And again, I base that on, I know a lot of young kids, whether they're young cousins or whatever. Like, you're around kids enough to notice what they're playing with, what T-shirts they're wearing. You don't see Bart
You
on a
don't see
T-shirt.
Bart.
And
You
like, he
don't
was
see Bart.
growing
and he was on
up.
all my brother's pajamas growing up. Or
Yeah.
I had Lisa, like, robe. Like,
Lisa always sucked.
don't.
I
break my
hated
She's my
Lisa.
queen.
She was so
Marge
boring.
Marge makes me laugh.
Marge's voice is great.
Marge is just hilarious.
So you reckon can The Simpsons?
Yeah, get rid of it. It's gone. Like, it's you know, there's
I love it.
nothing
I
to
love, like,
save.
it seems like, do you watch any animated shows anymore?
I watched Rick and Morty.
Okay. What do you
like
think of
everyone-
that?
Yeah, I love Rick and Morty.
Okay.
I find that really... That humour is my humour, though. Like, that's hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
But, any other animated shows? No, I don't reckon I do.
So do you think it's,
Do you reckon animated shows are
well,
sitting there?
no, well, do you think that maybe for you, like, it's something
Yeah.
that's fallen off your radar because
just
it's
feel
not
like,
what you're watching
you know,
anymore?
When you have
You're
a
more
pool
into
toy
reality now.
and the yeah, I love reality. I'm watching Dance Moms at the moment actually. But you
Oh
know when
my
you
God.
you have a pool toy and it pops and your dad puts a bit of tape on it and then it pops again and you're trying to use this really
I like this analogy. This is
like
good.
this pool toy's broken. It should have been thrown out with the first pop.
Yeah.
But it's dad's still using the duct tape and you're still on it and that's The Simpsons to me. It's got leaks everywhere and they're just trying to fix it. But it's time to let it die. It's time to put it in the skip. It's time to go. It's time to go. Like, no more. It's time to buy a new pool toy.
That's a good.
But they tried to buy a new pool toy because didn't they try and like do it? Enchant? Is that the show?
Enchanted. Yeah. Did
I
you ever
never
watch
watched
that?
it and wasn't interested in it. The main character literally looks like Lisa. So I'm going to talk about that.
It was the exact same animation style,
Oh,
which
absolutely.
is to be expected.
So
But
it's a bit silly. to be honest.
I never watched it, and you know what?
No.
I got excited about that show because
Yeah, I didn't.
for some reason, I'd read somewhere this is a bit more risque and it's almost like a return
really?
to that old school
old
Simpsons.
format,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, fantastic. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Like they can be a bit more like that. And I can't remember hearing anyone talk about it. Anyone.
I remember people paying shit on it.
Really saying it was no good.
Yeah, people would watch the first episode and not really give it a go.
I just heard it was unmemorable. Like it didn't have you really.
It wasn't hilarious. But speaking of Netflix, though, do you reckon... Like, I reckon I only watch shows on Netflix now besides reality TV. And I'm seeing a lot of big actors take roles with Netflix over mainstream sort of movies. And stuff.
Yeah, well, I
Is
think
there money there? Like, or is that just because it's so popular now?
I think that I don't know what the money's like, to be honest,
No,
but I
me
would
neither.
imagine it's not the same money as what you would get in a film.
No, that's what I'm thinking. But so many actors are just...
Well,
even on
it's
Stan
because
and
it's the
everything.
cool thing now, and also the stories seem
is
to be.
cool.
It seems to be more of an artistic move. Like
Yeah.
these directors and actors that
Well,
consider
Netflix
themselves
shows
artists.
and movies, they're right here, right now. You can watch them whenever you want. As long as you've paid for your streaming service, you can watch it whenever. You can watch it as soon or as late as you want. You can stretch it out, watch an episode a night, whatever it is. I suppose with the movies, I mean, it's a bit weird at the moment because of COVID and everything, but you've got to wait and you've got to pay
Yeah.
and you've got to.
Well, that's the
sit
thing.
there.
You're probably more likely to get more eyes on what you've done
For sure.
on streaming because
Yeah.
people, especially if you're on Netflix, who doesn't have Netflix? Majority now have Netflix.
Absolutely.
At
I think
least.
Foxtel. Do you have Foxtel?
Yeah,
Foxtel's going. I
Yeah.
don't think it's going to be around for much longer.
I've
Who
started.
needs it anymore?
I've
Disney
started.
Channel
Yeah,
is not even on there.
because of Disney Plus.
I didn't know that till the other day. I went for a trip down memory lane, 707 on the Foxtel remote.
Yeah, not there.
Not there. Channel unavailable. I was like, kidding. And my dad was like, yeah, it's because all the Disney shows are now on Disney Plus.
That's interesting
Montana.
because I know that. So HBO Max, when that launches, Australia won't get it because
So what is HBO? Like,
it's
what's
going to
be on
be.
that?
So there will be like Game of Thrones,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Sopranos, Curb Your Enthusiasm, like all
Yep.
everything HBO, which is a
Yes.
lot of
It's a
really
lot of
good stuff.
Yep.
We won't get it here because Foxtel have this long ass deal with HBO
Right.
to stream their content. So if you have Foxtel's just launched their own streaming service called Binge. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everything that's on Foxtel is available on Binge. So it's just another streaming platform. There's too many.
Too many.
But I remember hearing Netflix last year signed a deal with Nickelodeon to have all Nickelodeon content because they were trying to
Wow.
compete with Disney Plus.
Yes.
Now, growing up, my generation was more inclined to be a Nickelodeon kid than
Yeah,
a
I was-
Disney kid.
I liked Nickelodeon.
Well, Disney was always on that higher paid platform than what
Yeah.
Nickelodeon was on Foxtel. So in terms of having that cable TV,
Yeah.
you would have the basic package and Nickelodeon was on it. So you had your SpongeBobs.
Oh, really?
You had your
Okay.
Rugrats. You had your Rugrats all grown up. Great show.
I know. I was too young for.
Hey
Rugrats.
Arnold?
Yeah, I remember it. It was the phase out when I was sort of.
Yeah.
starting
See,
to
I'm
watch it.
going to imagine, were you more maybe Drake and Josh?
Oh.
Drake
Oh,
and
yeah.
Josh, great show.
Great show.
Great show.
Excellent show.
There was plenty of more live action ones that came later, but I grew
Yeah,
up
true.
with a lot more animation, like Angry Beavers, all these shows. They were all animated.
You were definitely too late for like the regular show and the Amazing World of Gumball and everything on Cartoon Network.
The regular show I've seen.
Do you like it? Because I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's so
yeah.
funny.
What was the other
So
one?
much adult humor in those shows. I don't know how they even got by on Cartoon Network.
But there was a lot in a lot of those young
Yeah,
those
true,
young
true. I
shows,
don't know how
especially
they-
some of those like Angry Beavers and stuff like that.
Right.
A lot of it was
it
adult
was like right in
humor.
front of you. But
yeah, but as a
it
kid
was
you never.
oblivious to kids. Yeah.
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 What was the other one you said?
Oh, the Amazing World of Gumball. It's so funny.
I don't
There's
think
just
so.
me and my brother. Like the amount of adult humor in it is like insane. Like I just cannot get over how. I was also Adventure Time. You probably never.
See, no, I've seen Adventure Time now because
Right.
it's on like digital channels and
That was
stuff. a
those
lot.
shows were when I was like leaving primary school, so I wasn't probably the prime age for that, but I was still watching them.
But that Adventure Time, as much as it's aimed at kids, it's actually considered to be like
An adult show.
an adult show,
So many
like
adults
a pot show.
walk
Like-
around. There was a phase where grown people, and I saw this working at Ben and Jerry's,
Mm.
serving people. grown adults would be wearing
Adventure Time
thin
t-shirt.
little
Yeah.
Adventure Time, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this is not appropriate. Like, people
There's-
wear those tops and like have like the remember the beanie and everything.
Yep.
Like I had the beanie. I'm gonna be honest.
Well,
But
there's things like that with a lot of those shows where when you're a kid, you don't see what a lot of the underlying messages were. So like there was this other show I grew up with, Rocco's Modern Life, and they just did a movie for it on Netflix, and like first time it's come out in years, and they were talking about what a lot of the characters were actually representing, whether it's like a pothead or.
oh wow, yes, I have seen.
And I was like,
yep,
what?
Yep.
This whole world? And
Yep.
they're like, yeah, the creators
Like
of
how
this
people
world.
say Shaggy from Scooby Doo was supposed to be a stoner.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, really? I thought he was just a cool man.
Yeah, and now you look back on it and you go, oh,
yeah.
shit. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, he was. Did
It's
you
funny.
ever watch Beavis and Butthead?
Yes. Oh my god, my dad put me onto Beavis and
Same,
Butthead
so
at a
did my
young
dad.
age.
So did my dad. And me and Dad rewatched an episode the other day.
How does
and
that
we
hold
were
up?
like, oh no. We were
Bad?
Like, bad, so bad. We rewatched an episode. I think it's on something.
I think I saw it's on Stan.
It's on Stan. It's on Stan. Yeah, it is. Yeah, me and Dad just out of curiosity watched an episode the other day because he got me onto it as like a 6-year-old.
The voice is
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's,
yeah. Yeah, legit. It was like my phone. They were like my phone background for ages because me and Dad just like when my first iPod because Dad would like. I think I think that ended early 2000s though, but I'd still watch them with Dad. And yeah, me and Dad watched it, and I was like, I'm so disappointed. This isn't.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't find that funny.
Beavis and Butthead almost feels like the original. I don't know if it predates South Park. I think it does, but that
it does.
original risky TV cartoon, which
Yeah.
it's adult
It was
content. That was
risky. It
strictly adult content. You would
Yeah,
never have shown it to a
I can't
kid.
believe as a 6-year-old, my dad let me sit in that lounge room and laugh at Beavis and Butthead. Like that is insane.
And I think there's probably a certain element of but it's a cartoon.
Exactly, it's a cartoon. It means it
cartoon.
can't be scary to the eye, and
Yeah.
I will not cotton on to what's happening verbally.
No.
That was the thought.
So what didn't hold up? Was there a lot of like just
Like
a lot of sexual stuff?
sexism, a lot of no sexual stuff for sure. Like stuff that was a bit like, well, that's so crude. I can't believe they put that in. But
So a bit sexist as
a
well.
bit very
Racist?
racist. It was all those things that
Everything
now,
you can't
in today's
do.
climate is just a huge no-go zone, and possibly should have been a no-go zone back then, but we weren't as educated in those times, so it was funny to us. It was just funny, but yeah, no, I remember like I thought it was so funny the first time I watched Beavis and Butthead. Like I thought, even as a 10-year-old, I thought it was hilarious.
It was hilarious. Yeah.
And then I rewatched it as a 19-year-old, and I was just like, no.
I reckon I'm going to throw it on. So on Stan is it a TV version of it? Because I know they had movies too.
Yeah, no, it's to be honest, we only watched 10 minutes. Dad just had it
Yeah,
on.
I was going to say, so you just you turned it off.
It was not a long watch. Like it was just like, oh, I wonder what Beavis and Butthead is like now. Like it wasn't like a let's sit down, get the popcorn, and watch the all the no. So we only watched for about 10 minutes, but my dad. It's funny because my dad was still chuckling at some of the jokes, and I was like, that's his age.
It's a generation
yeah,
thing.
that's his age. Yeah, but yeah, no, good. It was a good show though, I suppose, but.
All right, that's
Yeah.
interesting. All right, so what I've walked away from here today is with a few things. First of all, you will go down defending reality TV, but in the process, you can see that it's kind of crap.
It's rubbish. It's rubbish, but it's entertaining rubbish. So why
Have you
would I not watch
converted
it?
anybody to it? No. Like, is there anybody that...
I really get disappointed when people, because I've spoken about Big Brother for years. I was known in high school as being this Big Brother. When it came back on, I was like, oh my god, gotta watch Big Brother. And they're like, shut the fuck up, Steph. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then so when it came back on, they were like, oh, I bet Steph's excited. And I was like, yeah. And they never watched it. They never watched the revamp 2012 or the early ones. And I'm like, no, don't. I don't want you to think Big Brother's. I've gotten all these people to watch it this year, but like, it's not. I don't want you
So
to think
you're
that's what it
annoyed
was.
now. Are you
Yeah.
finding yourself annoyed by people that have become excited by this new format too?
Yes,
You're
I
like,
am a
no,
little
this
bit.
isn't
I'm like,
Big
no,
Brother.
This isn't it. And like, I'm just treating it as its own reality TV show because I think it's great reality TV, but it's not Big Brother.
So you're
It's just a
liking the
show.
new Big Brother,
Yeah,
but
I'm
it's just
liking
not as good
for
as what it used to be.
entertainment. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of bias towards some of the contestants, but that's a different.
Well, there always is. There always is in The Voice. That's half the issue, mate. It's so problematic.
It's not Big Brother anymore. Makes me sad.
Big Brother's not the same. Cancel The Simpsons. Huge
Cancel
goal.
The Simpsons.
Cancel The
Get
Simpsons.
rid of it.
Done.
Get rid of it. Big finale. That's all it needs.
What do you think the finale should be? I've spoken about this numerous times in this
I hate
podcast.
discussion. Me and my dad were talking about this either.
I reckon I've had this conversation with you once before too.
Yeah, we probably have.
Do you have an opinion?
Would you prefer it to be wholesome or like a huge shock? Do you reckon? Like what we want, what we expect, or
Well, what do you think we expect?
What I don't want to see is them all grown up. That's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see at the end Lisa's like a lawyer or something and Bart's doing this and Homer and Marge are all living in the same. I don't want to see them grown up. I want to finish it. They've been 8. Lisa's been 8 for 30 years. Like, you know, let's just leave it that way. I don't want to see some sort of in the future. I don't know. And I think they're not ending it because they don't know how to.
Do you like the idea of the theory that they're going to end it with it being a rounded narrative where they will finish it with the family in the car going to the Christmas recital at the school, and then it's just this rounded story.
Is that too predictable? But I do like that.
Well, it's predictable in the sense that
make me
people have
cry.
spoken about it for a fair while. Yeah, but it is a way to explain why they've stayed the same age
They should definitely finish
forever.
it with a couch gag, I reckon. Like, just at the end, the credits.
True. Yeah, you got to have
just
one
a-
final good couch gag.
Whatever the first one was.
Are they
maybe.
still doing the couch
They're
gags?
still doing the couch. And they're so shit now. Because the whole point of the couch gag was they were the same length as like the normal.
Yeah.
You know, now they have like they have like it's pretty much a whole, they had a minute and they run through.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever, yeah.
I remember listening to, I can't remember who it was. It was a writer from The Simpsons, and they reckon that was the most stressful part of writing any episode.
The couch gag.
Was the couch gag, to
Yeah.
try and come up with something that
Something
hadn't
new.
been done before.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe that's why they should end it now.
They should end it. It's gone. It's gone. But watching the last episode for anyone will be very, very sad, I reckon. Even if
I agree.
you're not a diehard fan anymore, anyone who was at one point in time, it'll be...
Be sad for everyone
sad for
involved.
anyone.
And you'll be the culprit because you've called for The
'Cause I've called
Simpsons
it,
to be cancelled.
yeah, okay.
Good job, Steph. Thanks for coming on the show.
No, that's all right.
You have to come back again.
Yeah, I will come back.
Or come back when The
Reality
Simpsons
TV.
is cancelled.
Talk about Dance Moms.
No, never. Thanks.
Thanks, Daniel.
There you go. I wrestle continually with the world of reality TV, and if I find any worth in it at all, but it's always nice to hear when somebody does have a real interest in it, a real appreciation for it. Now, Steph didn't have much of an appreciation for it, but she still watches it and defends it, which I found an interesting mix. So thanks, Steph, for coming on the show and you know, putting up somewhat of a valiant effort to defend the world of reality TV. And there's some interesting points about, you know, the world of animation, in particular The Simpsons, and the voice acting and the drama surrounding all of that, you know, the white actors playing black characters. It's a whole thing. So it was good to have a nice chat to Steph, an articulate chat, you know, thought out chat. Two people with a couple of notes on their notepad, didn't look at them once. Always fun. Don't forget you can get the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube. You can subscribe to each of those platforms, which is fun. So you're notified. Hey, guess what? There's another episode out. Oh, better go get it. Yeah, you should. So subscribe there, comment, like, whatever you want to do. You can also hit up the podcast on the Cheeky Leprechaun website, cheekyleprechaunproductions.com.au. And yeah, other than that, that's about it for this week. I'll talk to you soon.
This has been a Cheeky Leprechaun production.